Good morning. As we start the chitas of the day, today is Thursday. We're holding the portion of Lech Lecha, and we are starting on chapter 14, verse number 21. Yeh melas Daim el Avram, and the king of Daim said to Avram, "Ten li the nefesh, give me the souls, v'arachush kach lach, and the possessions take for yourself." So that's just temporarily to give that of which were captured, that belong to me. Give me back the souls. I want my slaves back, maybe. Chazali agufim levadim. Give me back the people. Avram said to Melos Daim, I raise my hand to the Lord of Most High God, who possesses the heavens and the earth. Is a concept of a vow. The concept of that, and he brings down different verses that show Harimaisi means I uplift my hand in a vow. Maybe that's why till today you uplift your hand when you make a vow. Verse 23, if from neither from a thread or a shuhar. Will I take anything that belongs to you? Not the people, not the money. I don't want your money. And nobody should say I made Avram wealthy. I got wealthy from God. Neither a thread or a shoe strap. I keep for myself from the spoils. And if you offer it, say to give me reward for your treasures, I don't want that. I don't want that. Because God made a vow to give me wealth. And I'm going to receive that through God. Verse 24. Biladi, exclusive rak asher ochas anodim, for what the lads ate, and those who went with me. Honor eshkel v'mamre, honor eshkel mamre, heim yikul chalkom. They'll take the part in the spoils, but I don't want a thing. The lads, my servant who went with me. And additionally, honor Eshkel and Mamre, although my servants entered the battle, as it stated, he and his servants, while Honor and his companions stayed with the luggage to guard it. Nevertheless, they shall take their share. And for him, David learned, he said, as for the share of him who goes down into battle, so is the share of him who stays with the luggage. They are share alike. Those who stay behind and protect the back. Therefore, it says it was so from that day, from before that he made a statute and an ordinance. It says Vahola and onwards, because this statute had already been enacted in the days of Avram, that when you go out to battles, those that fight and those that do the other work and protect the stuff also receive the parts of the spoils of battle. But Avram himself says, I am not interested in anything whatsoever. And that completes the Chumash of the day. The Alter Rebbe will continue in the 26th chapter, Tanya. And again, the Alter Rebbe is to be a little Kabbalistic in the concept of the Alter Rebbe explains how everything that is in the world, even the concept of the way the Torah is written, and the way the Mishnah, the oral law is written, and the way the Gemara, the explanation of the oral law is written, all of these teachings all have their spiritual counterpart in the upper worlds, in the spiritual worlds. Where do they all stem from? They all stem from the wisdom of God. Where does the wisdom of God first reveal itself in this world? That's in the world of Atzilus, in the world of emanation. And over there, it ultimately comes down in different ways and in different worlds. Now, when Malchus of the world of emanation is vested in Klippas Noga in order to extract and refine the sparks that fell with the sin of Adam and Isha. So ultimately, through learning Torah, we have the capability, and doing mitzvahs, we have the capability of revealing sparks of godliness that fell from the time of beginning of creation. So there were the Chassidus, there were two major events, spiritual events in the world. One was with Shviras HaKelim, when the breakage of the vessel in the first day of creation, that the world was chaotic. And that was 288 sparks that fell through the breakage of the vessel, Olam HaTorah, from the world of chaos. And that needs to be refined. And also, then you had the sixth day of creation, which the first sin happened, which the concept of good and evil. What's the concept of good and evil? The concept of good and evil starts off the avodah of klippos, coverings. That means that everything in the world has within it good and evil. And when we say evil, we don't mean per se a negative thing. When you say evil, we mean the opposite of godliness. So everything in the world has a godly and ungodly force. What's the avodah of a Jew? Is to uncover that klippah, to take away the negative and to reveal that's positive. So to show that the real essence of the thing is the positive, the godly thing. So that's called avodas habirudim, the avodah of birur, separation, revelation. So when you have ultimately what gives us the power, that's a mitzvah, and that's Torah. The way Torah comes down ultimately in the physical. Every mitzvah is in the physical world. Every mitzvah affects the physical world, whether it's through eating, whether it's through every mitzvah we do. Tefillin comes, you have to use an animal, and mezuzah needs an animal. Everything is done through the physical world. So everything that comes down into the world that's physical has within it Eitz Hadas Tov V'Ra, has it within it the tree of knowledge of good and bad. And by doing it, l'shem shamayim, by making a bracha, by using it out for holiness, we separate the klippah, we take away the covering, and we reveal the spark. But as long as we haven't done that, so then the Malchus Datzilus is also called Tov V'Ra, because in essence it needs to be refined. It needs to be revealed. In comparison to Keser, the world of Keser, the world of Atzilus. That it doesn't descend there. Keser, the world of Atzilus, doesn't descend into the world to become clothed in the words of Torah, to come clothed in a mitzvah. So therefore, that is totally above the physical. Keser of the world of Atzilus. But Malchus Atzilus ultimately comes in a physical reality. So therefore, in essence, Malchus Atzilus, you also can say that it's a concept of good and bad, so to say. That Malchus comes into a klippah that shines. That's the concept of Kabbalah. That's the concept of exile of the Shekhinah. That's the whole concept of the exile. That the world hides godliness, even a kosher thing, even a mitzvah. That the world can hide godliness, that already is the gullus. That's already an exile for the Shekhinah. Asher shala to Adam ba'Adam, which is the concept of man rules over man to his detriment. What's our avodah? The avodah of the Yid is to take away this klippah, to reveal this klippah, to reveal this cover, to show it that it really is godly. And this is the meaning of the statement of the Zohar. That while the tree of good and evil dominates the world, we're in a world where there's a mixture of good and evil. Everything that is good is as evil, and everything that is evil as good. and everything is not so clear. The sages who liken the Shabbos and the festival have nothing except what is given to them by those who are called unsanctified ones. So that's why we basically have to deal with the world, which is a clipper. And therefore, even the righteous people of the world need to receive their sustenance, so to say, for non-such pure entities in the world. Why? Because we're in Galus. We're in exile. Because we're in a time of exile, when the Shechina, which gives life ground for is to outer forces that belong to the realm of Klippas Noiga, which is a mixed multitude, derived the forces. So that's what the Zohar means. The Zohar is not talking about the Torah. The Zohar is talking about the Torah comes into the world. That ultimately the Torah comes into the world and needs to rectify the world, which is a mixture. And from this distilled essence, the Torah scholars are nourished during exile, and that's why the Torah scholars receive their nourishment also from Klippas Nega, also from not pure entities in the world. And that's why that's our avodah. We have to realize the whole concept of what we're in Gullus. We're not in Gullus as a punishment. We're in Gullus because we need to do an avodah saberudim. We need to sift through this. Therefore, the Ika, the most important spiritual task of humanity, the Ika the mitzvah, is the most important concept of why we're learning Torah mitzvahs is one thing. Is to elevate those sparks. That's known for the teachings of the Arizal. For today, the most important, chiefly involved deliberation, the pilpul halacha. That's why today the most important thing is to learn Gemara, which teaches an understanding of the laws of permitted and prohibited. Because it's the most important thing to separate what is good from bad, what is holy from unholy. In order to discumber the permitted and the pure from the forbidden and the impure, by means of deliberations and arguments on the law, with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. With all the three intellectual faculties that the soul clarify the law, because now we need to clarify the law. We need to understand why the thing is holy, why it's unholy. Why is it permitted? Why is it not permitted? Do you do? And why do we have that power? Why do we have the power through the Torah to sift through the world and to rectify the negative from the positive, the holy from the unholy, the pure from the impure? Why do we have that? Because the Torah comes from the wisdom of God. Hence, the sparks of holiness in the legal questions can be extracted and elevated only through wisdom. We use the wisdom of the world of Atzilus. Malchus is what comes into the Malchus of Atzilus. Say Torah b'shal peh, which is the Kabbalistic principle of the oral law. So if I go to Chachma of Atzilus, I bring it into the Torah, to the Gemara. That means I learn myself. I use the Chachma, my Chachma. I just don't read the Gemara, read the Talmud the way it's written. I understand it. I argue with it. I struggle with it. I use my wisdom to comprehend it. And that's the way I elevate. Through the learning of Torah, I elevate the world. What is permitted, what is not permitted. According to holistic principles, according to Kabbalistic principle, which is the father, Chachma of Atzilus is the father, beget and founded the daughter, which is Malchus Atzilus. So Chachma is the father, Bina is the mother. Together, they had a daughter, Malchus, which is the oral law. Which is vested ultimately in the Malchus of the world of Yitzira. The Seidah Mishma Braisa. which according to Kabbalah is Mishnah, is the source of the Mishnah, the oral law, and Brightes, which are vested in the clip of Dega, which correspond to Yitzhak, which is a mixture of good and evil. That's why the law talks about good and evil. From there begins the knowledge of good and evil, or from there begins the evil inherent in Noiga when it comes to the world of Yitzhak. Klippas Noiga in the world of Yitzhak is equal good and evil. That's why you have Chesed and Gevura in the world of Yitzhak, in the world of formation. The Sachacha, another variant reading of the above, is the Brises that are vested in Klippas Noiga, which corresponds to the world of Asiya. For there begins the inherit of Noiga, really in the world of Asiya, not in the world of Yitzhak. So the Mishnah, that's why there's a Mishnah and a Brisa. In general, it's two different. The Mishnah is that became a Mishnah. Brisa is an unincorporated Mishnah. You find that a lot in the Gemara. Brises. Brisa is an unincorporated Mishnah. It was not in the incorporated Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda wrote. So Rabbi Yehuda incorporated certain Mishnahs. Then there's many other Mishnahs that were not incorporated. They're called Brises. So they are in a lower level than the Mishnah itself. So they go to the world of Asiya. That's why. So Mishnah is in the world of Yitzhak, and the Brisa is in the world of Asiya. In the world of Asiya, Klippas Noiga is totally there. Klippas Noiga, that good and evil are equal. In the world of action, good and evil almost look equal. But you don't even know the difference. Such a mixture between good and evil that good could be evil and evil could be good. You almost have to work harder on deciphering what's the difference between good and evil. And that's why the real bitter of the concept to use the wisdom of the Torah, the real wisdom to be able to decipher and to understand and how to is specifically in this world. And that's why Limud Torah is in this world. That's why in the famous story when Moshe Rabbeinu came up to heaven, the Malachim said, "Leave the Torah in heaven." And Moshe Rabbeinu said to them, "What do you mean? The Torah tells not to kill, not to steal, not to do adultery, to honor your father and mother. Do you have these concepts up here in a physical way? I'm sure they have it there in a spiritual way. But do you have it as you don't? So therefore, the Torah needs to come and rectify this physical world that has actually these physical things. Because that's the ultimate rectification. So as long as the Torah is stay in heaven, it's not going to rectify this physical world, which the Torah was written for, which the whole purpose of creation was. Therefore, the Torah needs to come down to the world. Because through the Chachma, only through the wisdom of the Torah, can we ultimately rectify and elevate and purify this world. And that completes the Tanya of the day. Today is the 8th day of the month, which starts in the Tillim, in Psalms. It's chapter 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 44 to 48. If you do that Tillim, you would have done the Chitas of the day. And now, I wish you a great day. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. And Amir Shem, if you want to come back to this site or to Chabad itself at 10 a.m., we're going to learn a Sikha of the Rebbe, a JLI course in the portion of the week at 10 a.m. today, either on Facebook Chabad, Facebook Torah Direct, or come to Chabad, 10 a.m. Have a wonderful, beautiful, happy day. If not, I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m., as we continue the Chitas of the day.